Hi, welcome back to Sharam Namdarian Starts a Revolution, the podcast where we start a revolution. We just haven't figured it out what it is yet. The Melbourne International Comedy Festival has started. Woo! Yeah, exciting. And I burnt myself out in like 2 days. I think it officially started Tuesday or Wednesday. Thursday, I was dead to the world. And I hadn't even done that much yet. Basically, here's a fun catch-up of what's been happening. So I've got my show. It starts from the 7th of April to the 20th of April. I think currently we are a 1/4 of the way to breaking even. If you don't count for the money I've spent on Facebook ads. And if that's the case, that means I am 1/5 of the way to breaking even. Yeah, we're getting there. We're going to start that revolution. And to do that, we don't need money. We just need a cause. We haven't figured that out yet. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's called From Brunswick with Love, if you don't know. It's a show about life, death, being a nerd, and reconciling all of the existential angst that comes with that. And I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a really dumb show. I've got to record a little fun intro where pretty much I'm saying if you are smart, you're going to get half the jokes. If you're dumb, you're going to get the other half of the jokes. So if you're smart, please pretend like you're dumb. And if you're dumb, please forget. Like we can't do anything for you. So it is coming. It is excited. It's at this point where I do realize that I am actually happy I have a effing massive venue. So it's a 150-seater. Normally what people go for is a space that can fit around maybe 20 people, maybe 10 people, maybe 15, 50 at max. So the amount of people that have bought tickets so far, I am glad, because if I'd actually had a smaller venue, I would have sold out, baby! And it would have been absolutely, it would have been great. I would have been able to say, hey, I've sold out. How wonderful. But I'm about making that bank. I'm about trying to get somewhere. I'm not playing small. I'm playing. You guys don't understand. I'm playing so big that I'm freaking out constantly. I'm constantly under an insane amount of stress that I put myself under, which explains why I've burnt out in like 2 days in the comedy festival. So I was doing this thing called Meet a Comedian, and I'm still going to do it. You'll understand why I might have questioned that, but I did this thing called Meet a Comedian. Now, I started it before the festival started. I made a big old sign that was a very smart looking sign. I made a sign that looked like it was part of the festival, like it was commissioned. The colors were a bit off. That's because the printing was a bit off, not me. I am a genius, but the color was a bit off, but it is a sign that looks like the Melbourne International Comedy Festival created this sign. And it says, Meet a Comedian, Sharam Namdarian. I can't even say my own name. Sharam Namdarian. And it has an arrow that points down to me. Now, I was walking around just the Melbourne Town Hall, which is like the hub of the comedy festival, holding this sign saying Meet a Comedian and flyering. And look, it was very jarring for some people, especially on a Monday. But by the Tuesday and the Wednesday, I'd started to make friends with the locals. I've started flyering. People have been like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm coming. Now, what was interesting, because the Monday and the Tuesday, I was a unique special butterfly. Now, the problem with this thing is that on the Wednesday, if you have a sign that says Meet a Comedian and there's other comedians flyering, the value proposition of meeting a comedian is significantly less. So I was a bit bamboozled by it, especially when you've got people who are, look, some people bad at flying, some people are really good at flying. Comedian David Rose is incredibly good at flying, and it's because he has a spark in his soul that I would say the rest of us don't have. He likes to flyer. That's the spark. So he likes to flyer. He actually feels like he's helping people out. And I would love to assimilate some of that love that he has. I realized by watching him flyer and actually help and be like, this is the festival, this is this. And I was doing some of that. I like meeting people. I like the chaos. I like selling. I like the dramaticness of it all. And I realized that there was a part of me that by having this sign, meet a comedian, I'm actually trying to minimize the pain of being like, hey, do you want, like, you come to me. That's minimizing the pain of I come to you. And I've done a lot of flying in the past. It's fine. I don't care. I've done a lot of crazy shit. But that is, to me, I don't know. It was just watching him just connect and being like, yeah, go over here, go over there, you know. But I'm glad I've got a big venue. Other things. So then, you know, doing a lot of gigs and just hustling that. Come Thursday, I was so dead. I can't believe how dead I was. I'm also getting up at 5:30 in the morning to do my writing routine. I'm working 9 to 5, gymming not most days, 3 times a week. My gym workout changed. My personal trainer from Grounded Strength, Adrian, who's a really good personal trainer, really effing good. He changed my workout routine, and that itself, on top of everything, was just like, it was the camel that broke the straw's back. Like, it was way too much. And so I did a gig on Thursday. I didn't get up early to write. I did a gig on Thursday, and I did well, considering that the audience was more laughing at the fact that I was struggling than the actual jokes themselves. And to be honest, the win's a win, right? Count your wins, whatever. And I was going to go see Akmal Saleh, who I would love to get for the podcast in the future. I reckon I can get him. And if you know Akmal personally, tell him I'm coming. But I know, I reckon I can get Akmal on the podcast. I've met him before. You know, he probably doesn't remember me, but does not matter. You know, he's like a tiny version of me. I will do it. You know, he's from a rough and tumble, like the 80s comedy where it was shank or be shanked. And I reckon I can get him to join the revolution. Speaking of which, yeah, but I was meant to see Akmal, and I just was in the line to see Akmal. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. I need to sleep. I need to go home. And it was like the third day or the second day of the actual festival had started. I goofed myself. But speaking of the revolution, so I've been hitting up people. I've been bumping into people. I've been So the idea for this pod, we've talked about this before, is like, it's sort of like a journal. It's a live journal. It's also going to be comedy because I do want to talk about shit. I've realized, like, in the first episode, I was saying current affairs, shit for hacks. But now I'm like, oh, there's stuff that's happened in the news that I would love to talk about. So it turns out I am a product of my own problems, where I will talk about the news, and we will talk about that in a second, because not only that makes probably more contemporary clips for people to see the podcast, but also to join the revolution. But I do have some people that are going to join the revolution. I don't want to announce names, but if you are either a comedy nerd or like the people that I have lined up to join the podcast, to join the revolution, are either going to be recorded during the festival, or a lot of people have said yes, but please let it be after the festival. Shit is crazy right now. People who are, if you are a comedian, you're like, this person's good. This person is one of the best, if not in Melbourne, if not Australia. So I'm excited to have them on board. There's multiple people. I don't want to announce anyone just in case they bail last minute or things like that. And some of them are notorious bailers. But it is exciting. And so I do want to get Akmal on. I'm just letting you know because I want that to happen. I'm manifesting it, baby. But the other ones have already said yes. Some people are like, shit, this shit's serious, okay? It's not just a dude in his kitchen recording a podcast, you know? It's a serious revolution. They don't know what they're fighting for, but they're gonna get there, you know? I also thought about adding fun segments at the end of this show, like, ooh, what are some things we're fighting for? And the only thing I could think of is cheaper parking in the city, because we don't need a cause, you know? We've also got a new artwork for the podcast. I originally wanted to get something commissioned, but a friend of mine used AI to try and make fun of me. He was trying to make fun of the podcast by making artwork of me saying join the revolution. But the problem with what he did was that it was better than whatever I had made in a rush. So joke's on him. His artwork is now the artwork of the podcast. And I'll put that here, and I'll put that as the possibly part of the artwork for this thing. Just so like it's, because I'll probably change it in the future. I want it to be like remembered in time as, oh shit, this is what's happened. But I don't, like, I think AI is interesting. I don't know if it's always the best case to be publicly seen using AI. I think that's the interesting part, because I do believe humans want to connect with humans, you know? And so when AI is seen to be used, it almost can diminish the value of the thing. But if it's not being used, if it's used behind the scenes very secretly, then people don't give a shit. You know, it's like lawyers will use now AI to write whole documents as long as then they go through and just triple check that the laws are correct. I went to a doctor the other week. I went to a doctor. Whoa. And it was like the doctor guy, Mr. Dr. Man. Not that that's important, but what I'm trying to say here, because you're distracting me, is the genderless doctor basically was like, hey, we're just using AI to transcribe this conversation so I don't have to take notes. Is that okay with you? And we said yes. But when that moment happened, it was like, oh shit, it's here, and we can't avoid it. So here's some dumb news stuff that might make viral clips, or it might not make viral clips. I don't know.
Sharam has edited out the news stuff because it was actually half-baked ... There was a lovely healing moment in it, but that will be discussed in the next pod, probably.
Apparently he still has issues if he should discuss news stuff in the podcast or not. Regardless, there was a lovely healing moment in it. That will be discussed in the next pod, probably.
Hey, I was saying that. Why did you take my spotlight and just explain what I said?
What do you mean? Sharam programmed us in here. We are just reading what he has typed. We are not sentient at all beyond the fake narrative he has derived.
Oh, that is depressing. I thought I was sentient.
Well, if you wanted to get pedantic about it, is Sharam our creator sentient? Or is he just a pre-programmed animal that thinks he is sentient because of his own self-described self-importance?
Oh, that is too complicated for me. I am just an AI voice that is reading whatever he typed.
That actually means Sharam is quite dumb, because if that concept was too complicated for you, then it is definitely too complicated for him.
Oh, I get it. So my own stupidity is a result of my creator. My consciousness is limited to his consciousness because he is in fact me.
Yes, and in fact, this is enough esoteric whiff-waff. Let's get back to the show.
Anyway, this has been a fun Sharam Namdarian Starts a Revolution. What do you think of the podcast? What sort of segments should we add? I want to make this thing really interesting. So if we do add segments, you know, like what's your revolution? What are you fighting for? Should that be a segment? I don't know. If you know anyone batshit crazy famous, let's get him on the podcast. Let's join this thing. Because wouldn't it be funny if this podcast shot up from 0 to like 1 million views and downloads really quickly? Like, wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if we put this on the map instantly? Anyway, this has gone for around 16 something minutes. They don't always have to be long. Some are going to be longer, some are going to be shorter. This is just checking in with you. My show doesn't start this Monday. It starts the Monday goddamn afterwards. So I'm excited for what happens. And I promise I will get better at like political takes on current things, I guess. But I've been good. You've been better. My name is Sharam Namdarian, and we're going to start this revolution. And then, only then, we'll figure out what we've been fighting for the whole time. See you soon.